Now let's go around the league. We both got a lot of things we want to talk about that went on and are going on. What's your first one?
It's negative, and it's really starting to piss me off with what's going on in Tennessee with a guy that I used to talk about. I used to defend, the guy straight from Houston Madison High School, Vince Young. You know, his antics are just getting sickening right now. He doesn't understand the privilege he has to play in the NFL. It's not a right, it's a privilege. And you talk about a league where less than 1% of the people trying to get there make it, and he's there. You know, he's been given millions of dollars to play a game, and he doesn't understand what that means. I know that it gets frustrating. He was an all-star quarterback at the amateur level, and things haven't been going his way on the professional level. But you still have to know what it is that you have in front of you and respect the game. You do not throw your shoulder pads in the stands because you're upset with the coach after a game. You don't walk out on your team and the coach in the middle of a speech after the game. Everything he's doing is the wrong thing, and I just don't know what's going through his thick skull, and it's to the point now where the risk outweighs the reward for him, and he's only going to realize what he has when somebody blackballs him from the NFL and he's out on the streets for about 2 years.
Well, first of all, Bud Adams is the reason Vince is there. He made them draft him. Bud made them start him last year, and that was the right decision. They were 0-6, and they went 8-2. But Vince is in his 5th year. He should have matured by now, and he hasn't. And there's a lot of people up there saying next year, Vince Young, last year of his contract, making $12 million. Jeff Fisher in the last year of his contract, both of them will not be back. Which one do you think will be back?
Well, I don't like what either one of them is doing right now, but just to take the lesser of two evils, you have to bring Jeff Fisher back. If that's what Bud Adams is saying, that I have to bring one of them back and not the other, you bring back Jeff Fisher. Now, what's sad is when you look at the stats, Vince Young is having a decent year as a quarterback. I believe he has 10 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. He has a 98% quarterback rating. He's doing pretty good as far as the stats go, and yet he just continues to have these mental breakdowns. Your quarterback has to be your most mentally strong player on the field, and he just doesn't have the mental or emotional capacity to lead a team. So if you have to make a decision between Jeff Fisher and Vince Young, now I'm starting to lean towards Jeff Fisher.
See, I think there's a good chance Jeff Fisher would be fired, and the reason is it would have been 16 years. But if he gets fired, I think he'll end up with the Dallas Cowboys. Now, something I want to talk about, Dante Robinson. We mentioned Dante earlier, talking about the Texans made a mistake letting him get away. Dante's on a team that's 8-2, that right now looks to be as good as any team in the NFL. He's playing very well, got $22 million guaranteed. That's $32 million in his pocket, guaranteed in his last 2 seasons. And I always liked him. I thought he gave everything he had to the Texans, go-to guy for the media after games, just like you were. And you miss guys like that, and I'm happy that he's doing really well.
When you talk about Dante, you're talking about one of the hardest hitting cornerbacks I've ever seen. And he's one of the better cornerbacks. He hasn't been voted to a Pro Bowl. He hasn't been voted All Pro, but this is a guy as a cornerback, there's nobody else who's more vicious than this guy. And we talk about leadership and leading by example. When defensive linemen and linebackers see a cornerback take out a 200-pound running back, they rally behind that. And that's what Dante brought. He brought so many intangibles to the team, and I was shocked that they let him go as cheaply as they did. And when I say cheaply, they could have kept him for a franchise tag. It would have been a lot of money as far as dollars, but it wouldn't have affected this team. It wouldn't have put a stranglehold on this team as far as signing other people, which they didn't do anyway in the free agent season. But, you know, Dante Robinson is a guy that you have to keep around, especially when you have young guys in that defensive backfield, and they just let him go, and they didn't replace him with anybody that's close to his type of playability.
They also thought Fred Bennett was going to step up, and they got rid of Fred a long time ago, so nothing has worked in the secondary.
Nothing has worked, and they have to look in the mirror. I think they made the wrong decisions. Now, Fred Bennett's another guy. I'm not saying he's the best cornerback, but he has experience, and you can't put a price tag on experience.
I know you want to revisit Minnesota.
Yeah, you know, that was your smart decision player of the week, and I agree with you. Brad Childress totally lost that team, and I'll tell you where he lost it. He lost it when he sent players to go pick up Brett Favre and bring him to training camp. People need to realize that coaches and players have egos. Now, the players are going to say all the right things when these beautiful cameras are in front of their faces, but in the back of their minds, a guy like Adrian Peterson, who's arguably the best running back in Minnesota Viking history, is probably thinking to himself, I wonder if I contemplate a retirement, if they will throw extra money at me and send some of the guys to come pick me up. And the answer is no. And the players realize that, and they're resentful towards Brad Childress, and they're resentful towards the organization. That's why he lost the team, and that's why he lost his job.
Were you paying attention while you were watching games at what happened in Cincinnati?
Yes, I was.
39 unanswered points by the Buffalo Bills in Cincinnati. As always, Cincinnati receivers Chad Ochocinco and Terrell Owens are talking about how many catches and touchdowns they had. Truth, the story was Ryan Fitzpatrick, 4 touchdown passes. That kid has convinced Buffalo we do not need to use the first pick on a quarterback, and that means a lot of quarterbacks are going, shoo. But that kid is playing great right now, and they're going to upset some more teams.
Easy, John. It's just one season. So you're telling me after one season, not even a full season, that you're ready to say we don't need to draft Andrew Luck out of Stanford?
No, I'm not saying I don't. I'm saying Buffalo, because they don't have to pay $50 million guaranteed, because they're not going to have a CBA in place. Andrew's third-year sophomore. I doubt seriously he's going to come out if he knows he's going to Buffalo. Right now, that top pick's going to Charlotte.
Yeah, and Fitzpatrick is playing great ball. The game he played on Sunday was awesome, but when you talk about a quarterback, I need to see it over an entire season and a couple seasons, because we've seen guys who've had 1 or 2 good seasons, but they really weren't the real deal. So I think playing well in one half of a season is not enough to make you change your draft thoughts as far as Buffalo's concerned.
Yeah, and you want to see a little more out of one of your favorite NFC South teams, right?
Oh, I don't know if it's my favorite, but this is a team that I've been saying, regardless of how many victories they pile up, they're not the real deal. And sooner or later, I might have to eat my words. But when you talk about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they're 7-3 in a tough division, a 7-3 record, and they're still third in their division. So it just lets you know how tough their division is. But when you look at the teams that they've beaten, the teams that they have dominated, that they've beaten, have a combined record of 17-53.
Wow.
Yeah, so when you see that, they're beating losing teams. And that's what you're supposed to do, so credit to them for winning the games they're supposed to win. But when they play the good teams, the Pittsburghs, the New Orleans, the Atlantas, they get dominated. So what I think is going to happen is going to result in a pretty good regular season. They'll probably end up 10-6, 9-7, but I don't see them making the playoffs. With that being said, second-year coach Raheem Morris should still be commended, because last year they were 3-13.
Don't you know the Texans would like to be playing all those losers? Unfortunately, they're not getting to. Now, my last around the league topic, Michael Vick showed, and everybody saw him on Sunday night. He played against the Giants. The Giants had a great plan for him. He didn't dominate the Giants like he did the Redskins on Monday Night Football, but he did tie his career high with 24 completions, and he proved you do not have to play great to be able to win in the NFL. Vick is now 5-0 in games he started and finished, and the fact is, his 2 more weeks he's going to be playing against the Texans on national TV. That could be ugly against the Texans